Hello, geometry students. This is video number 42, and it's called Neighboring Perfect Squares. And we've done a lot of math. We did equations, inequalities, word problems, angle problems, proofs, and now we're starting to talk about square roots. And we do a lot of math in here. Well, we were talking about this kind of problem in class today, and I thought it would be good to go over it again. This is a very quick video. So our problem here is to find the perfect squares that kind of surround 156. 156 lies in between two perfect squares. There's a perfect square that's below it, and there's another perfect square that's above it. We're trying to find what perfect squares those are. Okay, well, the secret is to take the square root of 156. So if you didn't catch that in class, that was what I was showing some people. Take the square root of 156, and we get 12.49. Okay, so 156 is about 12.49 squared. Okay, now if you think about it, 12 squared would be less than that, because 12 is less than 12.49. So 12 squared is less than 12.49 squared. And 13 squared would be bigger than that. So that's how I find the two numbers that surround 156. I take its square root, and think about the square of that. 12.49 squared is about 156. 12 squared is 144. That's the largest perfect square that's still less than 156. And 13 squared is 169. That's the smallest perfect square that's still bigger than 156. These are the two that surround it. Okay, let's try another example, 71. So let's do the trick again. Let's take the square root of 71. What do we multiply by itself to get 71? So the square root of 71 is about 8.43. About. It kind of keeps going. So it's kind of an approximation. So that tells me that 8.43 squared is about 71. So to get the perfect square that's less than that, we just take 8. 8 squared is 64. That's the perfect square that's less than 71. And if I round this up to the whole number that's greater than that, I get 9 squared. 9 squared is 81. So 71 is in between 64 and 81. This is 8 squared. That's 9 squared. 71 is right in the middle someplace. Okay, now once you kind of understand this, these are kind of all the same. So 600, let's take the square root. Square root of 600 is 24.49 approximately. So I can think of 600 as 24.49 squared, about. Okay, so just round it down. The nearest whole number below that is 24. So if I square 24, I get the perfect square that's below 600. And if I round it up to 25 and square that, I get the perfect square above it. So 24.95 squared is 600. 24 squared, which is a little bit under that. I don't know that one. Let me see. 24 squared is 576. Okay. Then the perfect square that's above 600 is 25 squared. That one I know it's 625. Okay. So 24.49 squared, which is 600, is in between 24 squared and 25 squared. Okay, square root of 872 equals 29.53, which means that 29.53 squared is about 872. So the perfect square that's below that is 29 squared. The perfect square that's above that is 30 squared. 30 squared is 900. Need a little help from my calculator in this one. 29 squared is 841. Okay, I hope this is getting a little bit easier after you try a few of them. Main idea about perfect squares is understanding what they are, that their square root is a whole number, and they can be factored as a number times itself. Like 64 is 8 times 8. These are a little bit extra problems. Okay, these are kind of similar. It says find the smallest perfect square that's greater than 329. So we want to go bigger than 329. Okay, well, let's apply the same trick. So 329, and we want a perfect square that's greater than that. So something that's bigger than that. Okay, if you find the square root of 329, you get 18.14. So 18.14 squared is 329. So the perfect square that's above that must be 19 squared. These are kind of just like half of the problems we were just doing. And 19 squared is 361. Okay, so 361 is the first perfect square that's bigger than 329. 20 squared would be the next one. That'd be 400. 21 squared would be the next one, etc. So 19 squared is bigger. Of course, 20 and 21 squared would be larger also. Find the smallest perfect square that's greater than 1200. Okay, so let's write 1200 here. The square root of 1200 is 34.64. So that's 34.64 squared. So the number that's bigger than that, the perfect square that's to the right of it, would be 35 squared. And 35 squared is, I get 1225. All right, find the largest perfect square that is less than 500. We want to go less than 500. So 500 is here, and we want to know what perfect square is kind of to the left of it. All right, square root of 500 is 22.36. So if we want a perfect square less than that, we round down. So we got to find out what 22 squared is. 22 squared is 484. And that's the perfect square that's less than 500. Of course, there are other perfect squares that are less than 500. This is the one that comes closest to it. Okay, well, that's it. It's time for the journal assignment. So I'll go ahead and find the perfect squares that lie on either side of the numbers. So 195 is surrounded by two perfect squares. Go ahead and find what they are. Same thing for 380. Then here is actually half of one of those problems. Find the smallest perfect square that's greater than 914. So there's a perfect square that's a little bit bigger than that. Go ahead and find it. All right, good luck. I'll check your journal in class.